Crap, and we're live. All right. Star date. Hang on. Damn it. What is this? My first time doing a podcast? Son of a...
It's been like a year now.
Maybe it's been a year.
So my mom texted me and she said she saw the X-Men movie and she thought it was really good.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Hang on, we're not talking about that yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Load document, damn it. Where's my star date? I need to know what star date it is. No.
You actually make.
I'm terrible.
Didn't that just
I'm
come out
a
of nowhere?
horrible. But yes.
Star dates didn't actually make any sense. They weren't.
Oh,
I just made it up.
There's gonna be like
okay. I have my own stupid system. Okay, now we're ready to go. Stardate 14033.147. This is the Part-Time Movie Guy podcast. In case you are actually still listening to this damn thing, as I crack my neck out of nervousness. My name is Ben Lee. I'm a nerd, jock, artist, and like to talk about those things. Today's episode. We've got 3 people, actually, and thus the title on the YouTube video will be the longest I've ever written, I think. Oh, no, actually, the time I had the Trupianos on.
Oh, that's right.
Because they have really long last names.
That's right.
So my guests today are Tim Leavitt and Ed Robinson and Jodie Younse. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, rhymes with bounce.
Yes. So some quick disclaimers. This podcast is brought to you by Office Ninja. Someone grab a DVD. Wow, 2 DVDs. You see it?
You can't die.
You're right. It's
Sorry.
right. It just makes noise right next to the microphone right there.
Oh.
So yeah, it's on iTunes, available. Go get it or something, or tweet about it. All right, crap. Okay, so the other disclaimers are this is uncensored. So our bad word of the day is Alice, which apparently is a euphemism for male homosexual.
So what's my last name apparently?
Younce?
Yeah,
Younce?
Apparently Younce also means bag in like some small areas.
Wait, so it's like derogatory?
Yeah, derogatory.
Because Alice sounds kind of like an Australian, like.
I think I've heard it used before somewhere.
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
But I mean,
it's like Nancy. It's like
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Does sound like Nancy.
Yeah. I mean, this was all collated from like George Carlin's list.
Sound a lot like swearing though when you say Alice.
No, I don't know.
Anyway. There's a whole new meaning to Alice in Chains.
Wow.
For any of you actually
I did not. I just caught that. All right. Also, there may be spoilers. This is a spoiler zone. So our spoiler of the episode is in 1955, actor James Dean dies in a car crash.
That's a spoiler? That's like a life spoiler.
James Dean died? You know, sometimes you're opening up the newspaper, you're wondering what the news is, and all of a sudden, James Dean is dead.
I was only on page 99 of his autobiography, goddammit.
See? Spoilers. All right, so, anyway, I should get to my guests, as they've been waiting patiently as I read off of my stupid phone.
Just Tim, because we keep interrupting you.
That's true. Tim's been very, very patient here.
We've been on a few times.
Yes. And Jodie is drinking alcohol. Well, actually, no. Tim's got a beer, too.
What are you drinking, Tim?
Right. I'm drinking Sam Adams Summer Ale in a Red Sox koozie.
They lost the other day.
That's definitely very Boston-y. What?
Hey, they broke their losing streak. They're back on the right path.
Yeah, I was watching the Dodger Reds game, and the Reds lost.
What's different?
Red Sox, Cincinnati Reds. Yeah, I guess that's confusing if you don't know.
Well, there's also the New Jersey Red Devils. Wait.
Red Sox.
Yeah. And then the Manchester United are the Red Devils as well.
Okay.
But yeah, you know.
There's also 2 Giants, and they live in 2 different cities.
They used to actually be in the same city.
They used to be in the same city, and they're different sports.
Yes.
At least I had the right sport.
At any rate, he's drinking a Boston beer in a Boston koozie, which is very appropriate.
Right. Which seems to indicate that he's from Boston.
That is true.
I'm clearly drinking a beer, Ben. What are you talking about? It's
Of
brown,
course, and
it's
I'm
in
clearly drinking vodka.
It's in the brewery glass.
Right. All right. So, Tim, why don't you introduce yourself quickly? Like, what do you do? What you might be known for, and if you have any shit to plug, now's your chance.
All right. Well, basically, I'm a film and television editor here in LA, and I basically went to school for it. I fell in love with editing and television in general. Back in high school, I went to public high school just outside of Boston, Framingham High School, about 15 to 20 miles west of Boston. And my public high school was fortunate enough to have a really good TV program. And so we were able to take classes in TV, even as juniors and seniors in high school. And so that's when I kind of got bit by the bug and, figured out that I was really into the visual arts and visual media and, kind of wanted to pursue it further. So when I was looking at colleges, I still wanted to do kind of the whole liberal arts education thing, but did want to go, study film somehow. So the film programs were definitely, one of the factors in my decision. And I chose to go to Middlebury College, which is a small liberal arts college in rural Vermont, which was awesome and amazing. And they did have a very small film department, but for the schools of its size, it's actually a pretty good one. So I ended up being a film major there at Middlebury and was a psychology and music minor. And so I basically use all those fields in my current work today. So basically what happened was my junior year, instead of doing like an abroad trip like a bunch of people at Middlebury do their junior year, I decided to come out to USC and kind of be a visiting student and take film classes here, some classes that weren't offered at a school the size and film reputation of Middlebury. Obviously, there's a lot more opportunities here in Los Angeles, and I was really able to take some cool cinematography courses, actually shoot some stuff on film, really get to know, more specialized what the industry is about. Since at Middlebury you mostly learn kind of film history and film criticism and stuff, so I learned more of the production side kind of when I came out here. So then I went back to Middlebury for my senior year in 2005, pretty much knowing that I had done my test run out to LA and had made some friends and liked it out here and liked the weather. And I was like, when I graduated, I was like, screw it, I'm going for it. So I packed up all my stuff in my car, drove across country with no job in hand, just looking for any sort of into the business. And I was fortunate enough, less than a week after I moved out here, I got a post-PA job at MTV. And the rest has just kind of snowballed from there. For the first year, I was basically just running tapes and DVDs around the city and, kind of learning my way around and learning the ropes of the post-production, field and everything like that. I'd stay late at night, past, when I got off to learn from the night assistant editors, and that's how I was really able to brush up on my Avid skills quickly and become a better editor much quicker. So within a year, I got my first assistant editor job on another reality TV show and kind of worked my way up from there, started off on kind of smaller shows and eventually got a big break becoming the lead assist on an NBC show, which did not do very well at the time, but was, a network television show. So it, taught me a lot and looked good on the resume. So that show was called The Chopping Block. It was a cooking reality competition show for NBC and was canceled after they aired about 2 episodes. So that was unfortunate, but luckily we already had the whole season in the can, so it's not like I got fired or anything. I'd already moved on to another show. But that was a good in for me. I made a lot of connections working on a big network show like that, and eventually got in with the people that do Celebrity Apprentice. So I ended up doing several seasons as an assistant editor on Celebrity Apprentice, and they're the ones that kind of moved me up and taught me more how to edit. They gave me kind of smaller things to edit that were less important than the body of the show that airs on NBC. They gave me kind of like deleted scenes and web content and stuff like that, and that's when I really kind of sharpened my teeth with my actual editing skills, because assistant editing is such a different skill. It's mostly technical, whereas the actual editing is more creative. So I really kind of honed my creativity in that role. And sorry, were you saying something?
I just was going to ask, is editing kind of your goal? Is that what you studied when you went to school?
Yeah, pretty much. I decided kind of when I came out here and took classes at USC that editing was really the part of the process that I liked the most. I guess you could say I kind of take the same mentality as Alfred Hitchcock, and that production is a bore, and it just kind of gets in the way of it's a step that has to be done, but the real movie gets made in post. So I've always loved just kind of sitting at a computer and tinkering away and slipping things frame by frame until it feels just perfect. I have kind of a perfectionist mentality, and it suits me well as an editor because it requires a lot of attention to detail, and you got to really be patient. Doing things that aren't necessarily glamorous, just slipping shots by a couple frames to avoid a camera bump or a stray piece of hair coming off of one of your actors. Or, you want that attention to detail to really have your editing shine.
How do you incorporate your music in your? I'm sorry, I'm totally taking over your show.
That's fine. That means I can talk less.
I'm just curious how you incorporate. You said you were a psychology major as well, and music.
Psychology and music minors, yeah.
And how do you incorporate that into doing editing?
I mean, pretty much anything you edit is going to have music involved as well. So in terms of the selection of the music to the editing of the music, just understanding song structure and making an edit right on a beat or right on the end of a phrase or something like that, instead of just kind of making sloppy music edits and trying to make a 90-second song fit a 82-second scene. There's going to be some editing involved. So I definitely use my music skills in that sense, and of course. Film and any sort of storytelling is really all about the psychology. You want to understand the motivations of your characters and what they're thinking and how people react to them. And so, I feel like the very crux of filmmaking is all about psychology. So I absolutely use all three of those aspects of my education on a daily basis.
What's your favorite thing that you've worked on?
Favorite thing that I've worked on? It's hard to say, because I like things for different reasons. I've done mostly unscripted stuff in my professional life. I like to branch out and do things like Office Ninja and try to get some scripted credits in my belt. But for the most part, I've done reality TV and game shows. I'm working on a game show right now for Game Show Network. It's called The Chase, and it's a trivia game show. And I do really like working on game shows because it's a little bit easier than cutting reality. Because with reality, you're dealing with hours and hours of footage, and you're trying to tell a story where you may not have all the pieces you need. So you got to really get creative and try a lot of things, and there's a lot of head scratching and trying things that don't work and stuff like that. Whereas with a game show, pretty much what they shoot, you're just trying to cut it down, get it to the right length of a show, pick all the cameras, make sure everybody looks and sounds good, and that's it. So especially during the summer, I like to work on game shows, get a little bit of a break from the whole reality thing, not have to worry about trying to put together a perfect interview bite. You don't have to do that in game shows. So yeah, it's a nice little break. I like the whole double dipping in reality and game shows thing, but I also love doing scripted stuff like Office Ninja whenever I can. So.
Do you do other post stuff too? Do you color and sound at all, or just?
No. For the most part in TV, there's dedicated people who just do the mix and the online edit. I know a little bit of that stuff, but not to the level where I could, produce a broadcast quality master, off the top of my head. But.
Gotcha.
What are you working on right now?
I'm working on that trivia game show that I just mentioned to you, The Chase. I've been working on that for just over a week now. Before that, the previous 5 months, December till 2 weeks ago, I was working on my third season of Hell's Kitchen. So. That's been a fun show to work on too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, to my recollection, when I first met you, you were working on Celebrity Apprentice.
Yep.
And yeah, Hell's Kitchen. Those were like the big ones that you had.
Yeah, I remember my first season on Hell's Kitchen is when you would have your PA show up with the drive of all your dailies because you guys were shooting when I was still on Hell's Kitchen. So he'd come to my office at the kitchen and drop off a drive. So yeah, that's how I remember. That's what I was working on.
Oh right, that's where that office is. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
Oh, so now we can find out where the post Hell's Kitchen offices are?
Well, that's if I remember where it was.
Although actually, they change every year. They just rent out office space for the few months that we do posts. So all 3 seasons we've been in a different building every time. So.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I found interesting talking to you was basically every season they would possibly rent out either the same building or a different building and temporarily just move a bunch of equipment there and just shove all the editors there to just do what they got to do, and then when they're done, boom, it's all out.
They take them all out. There'd be other things for those people to
So
work
it's
on.
like just short-term rentals of like buildings and also the equipment.
Yep.
And then the other odd thing I found out was you guys do shifts. Like
that I knew, yeah.
Like you're basically since you're renting that building, you might as well make them all 24 hours use of it.
Isn't that
Exactly.
what you were doing though? When you were assistant editing?
Yeah, I didn't know that at that time.
Oh, okay.
I was doing Office Ninja first, then I tried to do some editing stuff. But yeah, that's how I didn't realize that. It was a pretty interesting thing that
A
you have
24-hour
a whole
thing.
shift, of like brand new lead editors and assistant editors coming
Yeah,
in.
especially in reality TV and stuff, most of the assistant editors work at night because they can't be doing work on the sequences while the editors are working on them. So once all the editors leave for the day, they have the assistant editors do any DVD outputs or tape outputs that need to go to producers, or string outs that need to go to the promo departments for NBC or ABC or whatever. So yeah, most assistant editor jobs in reality are at night, and they'll usually have one or two assists, like the lead assists, during the day.
Right. And also, it's sometimes because usually they're shooting during the day, so the footage comes in,
Exactly.
and the assistants will come in and ingest those
Yeah.
at night, so that the next day the editors come in during the day, they can start cutting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Some weird, interesting machinations, I guess.
Yep.
Of
Yeah, it's the
editing.
type of thing that I had no clue when I first moved out here. It's like I kind of wish I had somebody to teach me the ins and outs of freelancing, because I went into it just not knowing what the hell I was getting myself into. And I remember my first PA job, like I was so excited that I was working at MTV, and I was like, this is great. I was barely making a go of it, barely scraping by. And then 3 weeks into the job, it was like a Thursday or something like that, and the post coordinator comes up to me. He's like, hey, good news. We're keeping you on past this Friday. And I was like, wait a minute, I was going to be out of a job tomorrow? So I was totally unprepared for the whole freelancing thing, but I'm glad, I've worked enough shows now, and I've kind of built myself up that, it's a lot easier than it used to be.
Cool. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot to introduce you guys.
Oh, I figured we were doing that in the second half of the show.
No, I think you should introduce the guest at the beginning.
That was just his introduction.
Otherwise, yeah, I know.
It was a 17-minute introduction.
Sorry, don't let me monopolize. Feel free to discuss some.
No worries. This her first half was meant to be, mainly focusing on Tim and Office Ninja. But real quick, you guys have been on the show, but why don't you quickly introduce yourselves and the shit you're plugging?
You want to plug the shit?
I'm Jodie Younse, and I'm executive producer of Pairings, the series, and we have now 2 seasons. Second season's not quite out yet. We are going to be premiering. We have a premiere screening on June 3rd, right? 3rd?
Yes,
Yeah.
Tuesday, June 3rd.
That's on my calendar.
And then we will premiere online later on in the month of June. We've also done another web series called Sci-Fi and Dining, where we make meals that are like science fiction, from the science fiction TV and movies. And I was on camera for that one. But for Pairings, I'm just the executive producer.
And I'm Ed Robinson. I'm the co-creator of Pairings. She covered most of it, but we're a food-themed narrative series, and we have our season 2 coming out. We have a teaser coming out very, very soon. It'll be out this week. So you'll actually be able to see some new pairings this week, which will be very, very exciting. And we're really excited to bring it to everybody. And we're getting ready for the premiere. Other than that, I'm an actor, and I've been in several other, web series and features lately. And when I'm not doing that, I'm paying the bills by catering for independent film sets and web series, and then cooking for the stars.
Yeah. In fact, Ed was actually he was slated to cater for Office Ninja.
I still feel bad about that.
What happened?
We will not comment on the replacement. Let's just go that way. But so yeah, let's go ahead and jump into Office Ninja.
I did cater the premiere party a lot.
Yes, you did. You did a good job there.
We made a crap ton of little mini cupcakes.
Ninja cupcakes, yes.
Ninja cupcakes.
So, Tim, this was maybe almost 3 years ago, I guess. Now.
Yeah, it was. Hard to believe. Time flies.
Yeah. So, I forgot. Was that your first feature? I know at that time you've been cutting a ton of reality
Yep.
and maybe one or two web series and shorts.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
basically,
Sorry.
like I said before, most of my paying the bills type jobs have been reality shows and game shows. Office Ninja is the only feature I've done at this point, but I have done a couple comedy web series. My buddy Keegan is a writer director and does a bunch of web series and independent stuff, and so we try to collaborate whenever we can.
Cool. So was there any extra or different preparation that you took into? I mean, one thing for sure is the whole setup would be different than obviously reality.
Right.
You were working straight out of, your own home with your own equipment.
Right. Yeah, the process is a little bit different for working on a scripted program versus unscripted. In reality, you're really just immersing yourself in the footage and trying to put pieces together to try to tell a story, and you're really focusing as an editor more on crafting the story. Whereas when you're working on something that's already completely scripted and shot according to what somebody else has written, you're more evaluating performance and comparing different takes of the same line, which you really don't get, in a reality show unless they do pickups, which not every show does. So it's a little bit of a different process going in, but I had done enough scripted stuff before I signed on to Office Ninja that I had kind of, gotten my whole process down. And I like to work with Avid's scripts function, where you could basically line a script within Avid and have it match up to your actual takes, so that you can click on a line in the script and compare all the different line readings from all your different takes, at the press of a button. And so
yeah, that functionality is really cool.
That is very cool.
Like I've seen it, and I helped out with Tim on that for one of his web series, and so I got to see what it's like. And you see the script, and there's literally you draw lines through it how normally you would and then there's little markers for all the takes. You could throw in all the takes right there, so it's really easy for an editor just click on those.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, swap through them.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it's really convenient. It does take a lot of prep work beforehand. So I was fortunate enough on Office Ninja to have an assistant to really be able to handle the bulk of that, because if I had been doing that as well, it just would have taken up so much of my time that I would have had a lot less time to do the actual cutting. So it's nice to not have to think about the kind of organizational stuff that comes to that's involved with that. So it really just freed me up to be able to cut, and having all the takes at my fingertips was a huge help, because there's nothing worse than knowing you need a piece of something and remembering you've seen it, and you're right in the creative moment, and you got your juices flowing, and you want to just drop it in and move on to the next thing, and you're like, oh, now I got to spend 10 minutes trying to find that. So just having that freedom to not have to think about all the little nitty-gritty organizational stuff, I think makes a huge difference whenever you're trying to be creative and put a cut together.
Cool. So was there any was it intimidating, maybe just because it's the sheer size of a feature film compared to a short? Did you have to kind of mentally prep yourself for the grind?
Yeah, a little bit. When you sit down there day one and you just see all this raw footage with all the slates and all that on it, and you're like, I've got 5 weeks to make a movie out of this. That's definitely a little bit daunting. It's that way on any show, scripted or unscripted. You sit down there and you look at what a mess you got in front of you, and you're like, oh man, how am I ever going to make anything out of this? But it's like reading a 1,000-page book. You got to take small steps. So you just start from the beginning and do little things, and then suddenly you look up and you're a third of the way done. So it eventually works itself out. You just got to kind of be patient and take it step by step.
And you said you've done some web series. I mean, sometimes for some web series, the runtime is almost as much as a movie.
Oh yeah.
When you put all the episodes together. Do you find any differences in terms of how you approach them than compared to a movie?
There wasn't like a huge difference in how you approach it because as you're just cutting scene by scene, it feels very much the same. It's a little bit different when you've got kind of a self-contained 10 to 12-minute story, and you got to worry about continuity and character arc across multiple different episodes and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a different beast, but for the most part, the cutting is the same. And the 2 web series that I have worked on, I haven't been the only editor. I've taken, I think I did 2 episodes of one of the web series, and the other one I did about 4 or 5. So there were always other people collaborating, especially with these low-budget web series to try to dump a whole season onto an editor and not pay them their full rate is. It's definitely a lot of work. So
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Tim, you don't know this, but I was the lead I was the editor for the season 1 of Pairings.
Oh, okay, cool.
So.
Yes.
And that one I had to learn Final Cut because it had already.
That's right. You hadn't really used
it. It had already been ingested in Final Cut Pro or something. Yeah. So actually, going back to Avid, you talked about how it was kind of cool to use the script functionality.
Yeah.
Was it mainly just because the majority of the industry, at least in terms of the quote unquote the big people, I guess, the non-independents, they're working in Avid. Was that the main reason why you chose to study that and not try to be like a two-way street? I don't know what the
application to. Programs.
Yeah, be able to instead of being good at just
ambidextrous.
Yeah, instead of being good at just 2 things, instead you decided to be great at one tool.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad that I didn't have to take the time to master Final Cut. I do have some experience with Final Cut because I used it in college, but I haven't used it since, and so my Avid knowledge has far surpassed my Final Cut knowledge at this point. And there was a time, maybe 3 to 5 years ago, when it looked like Final Cut was giving Avid a run for its money, and there were some, reality shows and stuff popping up around the city that were, advertising, looking for Final Cut Pro editors and stuff. So at that point, I was like, do I have to, go back and really master Final Cut? And I'm actually glad I didn't because with the release of FCPX, Apple sort of signaled that they're, more interested in the prosumer market than actual professional market. And so since that decision by Apple, Final Cut has dwindled to almost nothing in the reality TV scene. I don't know how it is in the feature world or other scripted stuff. I know it still gets some work in kind of shorter form stuff like commercials and music videos. But I think for the most part, with a few exceptions of some places that use like Adobe Premiere or Sony Vegas or something like that, I think even more so than just a couple of years ago, everything is going back to Avid. So I don't regret deciding to master Avid at all.
That's what I learned.
That's true. You actually have a similar backstory to Tim.
I do. Yeah. That's what I learned in college. That's what I learned when I studied abroad at Sydney, and that's when I learned when I worked at the TV station. You guys were talking about like scheduling things around the clock, and even
you started working at the TV station in high school, like right?
Yeah, I started working at the TV station when I was 16.
Was it part of the school program, or?
Mm-hmm. No, I just chose to intern at a TV station, and then they hired me on, and they had like 3 or 4 Avid bays. And even those, would get scheduled out to around the clock. You remember being there with me at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, because they would occasionally, if they had open spots, then there are other freelancers that weren't working on stuff for work could go and use it for their own stuff. But that was many years ago.
Yeah, no kidding. That was easily 15 years ago.
So, Tim,
when your sister drank a bottle of Tylenol.
No, it was ACT.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, my sister poisoned herself. That's another story.
I think that's a whole different episode
she was
right there. Okay.
It's
a whole different episode.
Yeah.
Come on, people. All right. So, Timber. Anyway. All right. So, I know Tim's got to go pretty soon, and we didn't really talk that much about Office Ninja, but.
For people not listening to it on the podcast, we actually showed it a lot.
Yeah, but they can't see it if they're listening to the audio part of it. But basically,
So this guy, Ben, edited our first season of Pairings, and this guy, Rob Paget, is currently editing our second season of Pairings.
And Jessica Mills was in our
Jessica Mills was in our first season of Pairings.
it's just a whole
We're very
crisscrossing.
incestuous.
Yeah.
And I have catered his horror story, horror movie.
Horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
5 Dead Girls.
No, no, no.
Four dead.
Four Dead
There's
Girls?
only 4, dude.
It was called something else when I had a working
5
title
is
before.
the
Yeah, it was
sequel.
called like The Apartment or
The Rental.
The Rental.
Yeah. All right, getting back to Office Ninja.
I
Tim.
was tying it in.
Okay, thank you.
Shut up, Jodie. That's what you're telling me now.
Tim, what do you remember of cutting that? Like, do you remember what were like some of the, your favorite parts and what are your most challenging parts? That always seems so like very stock questions to ask people. But I don't know. I guess what do you remember of cutting Office Ninja?
I remember, for the most part, it was a pretty straightforward edit. I thought you covered it pretty well, and you gave me a few options of each. You gave me a few takes of each setup, but not so many that it was overwhelming. There wasn't a whole lot of improv. You pretty much stuck to the script. So with regards to that, it was a pretty straightforward edit. I do remember I had to do a little work with some of the action scenes, just kind of repacing things. And it certainly helped out that you had locked off the camera a lot. So especially in some of those chases, where they're chasing, across cubicles and stuff like that, I would, do cut within the frame and kind of map people in so that it looked like they were, it would take less time. So if somebody ran past and then another person ran past a second later, I would pull it up so that, they'd be right behind them, and it could be a half-second shot rather than a 2-second shot. And, a lot of times in an action sequence, that makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. There was a few shots like that.
And I had to speed a few things up too. I try not to get too crazy. Last time I watched the movie, you could kind of see. I was like, oh, you could tell I sped up that shot. But I think for the most part, it worked pretty well.
Yeah. Crap. What was I going to? Oh yeah. So what some people don't know is in terms of the actual process. The first cut was around 68 minutes. That was all live action. Later on, we decided to add in the comic book motion graphic stuff. Yeah. Was it kind of difficult to like try to splice those stuff in, like the second go round? Were there any challenges to that?
No, the animation stuff went pretty smoothly. Because it basically was a hard cut from the show, to the animation and back. So it wasn't particularly difficult weaving it in. I think we may have had to, add a couple extra B-roll shots of the exterior and stuff going in and out of it. I don't remember exactly how we handled it, but it wasn't too difficult. And then, cutting those animatics, it was basically just, if I remember correctly, it was QuickTime files that were already pretty much timed out. And so I was just kind of lopping off the heads or tails in order to get it to time out perfectly with the voiceover. And I can't remember if you gave me the final voiceover right away or if we temped in my voice or your voice to kind of get the timing right and you added it later. But for the most part, it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think we had your temp voice, and then because I remember doing that in the studio at an ADR studio.
I'm trying to remember, who was it that did your animation?
So the animation was done. It was illustrated by two guys, Ryan and Dean Tumolian.
Oh, the answer's not what I thought it was. Never mind.
Filipino-esque names. And then it was motion graphics was done by Tiffany Tan.
Oh, okay.
So they've done some freelance stuff. So they know their shit.
Cool.
All right, so I guess we're going to wrap it up with Tim. Do you have any final words or final thoughts?
I have a final thought. Of course I do.
Okay.
I had this crazy idea.
His final thoughts.
No, I know, but he can say it afterwards. But I'm wondering if this is too crazy that we could do, the selfie with Tim. So we turn it around and we can do a selfie with everything.
You're going to do a podcast selfie?
Yeah, podcast selfie.
Sure, I guess.
Crazy? All right.
How are we going to do that?
It's going to get a little bit...
Wait, you're going to move the computer?
This is a disaster waiting to happen.
It's not a disaster, promise. It makes a lot of sense.
Just don't hit... okay.
There we go.
Right,
see, everybody can see. A little bit more. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Selfie
All
happens.
right.
All right, that was actually kind of cool.
Okay. I don't think it'll get as many hits. Oh no!
We're good.
I was trying to plug it back in. I don't think. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it'll get as many hits as the Bradley Cooper one.
Probably not.
I don't
but-
think we'll break
Yeah.
the internet the same way that they did.
Yeah. Although I keep almost breaking Jodie's glass.
No, oh,
Because I keep going. All right. Do you have any final?
I just think it's appropriate that he's worked on Hell's Kitchen and a lot of cooking shows to be on the same.
I didn't even think about that when I was thinking of having you guys on.
Good scheduling of your guests, Ben.
We had to do a lot of food editing for our first season, so
Yep.
that's always fun. Do you have to sit there and eat? When you were doing Hell's Kitchen, did you get hungry a lot? Did you have to make sure you were full when you were editing?
Surprisingly, no. It didn't really affect me that much, especially because, as food shows go, it's a show that's not really about the food. It's really
That's true.
about the competition and the backstabbing and all that. So, there's definitely some food shots where you're like, oh man, that looks good, but it wasn't too much of a problem.
Cool.
All right. So now, Tim, any final thoughts about working on Office Ninja?
Yeah, I guess nothing too crazy to say, but it was a fun experience, and I learned a lot, and hopefully Ben learned a lot, directing too, and I would happily do it again. It was a fun experience, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And anybody who wants to get into editing, I'd say make sure you're really focused and have good attention to detail and are a hard worker and smart. And if you do that, you'll succeed.
Cool. Do you have your own personal website or anything, or just?
Nope.
Okay. So if you want to reach Tim, I guess you can
Facebook me.
bug me to get his info and stuff.
Yep.
But, okay, so basically you're working on some stuff for the Game Show Network.
Yep.
Right, and then
Hell's Kitchen is airing on Thursdays at 8 p.m., I believe, on Fox. So it's actually the season I worked on last year. There's a big delay between when they actually air it. But you should definitely tune in and see some of my stuff, and maybe you'll see my name go by in a third of a second.
yeah, just DVR and just wait till the very end.
Right then.
This is sorry.
No,
I should have been paying attention.
Hell's
Kitchen. Hell's
Kitchen.
Kitchen.
Yes.
Watch Hell's Kitchen.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for coming on, and of course, it was a
thanks for
blast
having me.
working with you.
Yep, yeah, it was fun working on the film, and I hope to edit your second one as well.
Yeah.
Office
Whatever
Ninja
that
2.
may be.
All right, cool. Thanks. All right. So yeah, you can sign off however you like.
I would stick around, but I got to eat dinner. I'm pretty hungry, so especially talking about all this food now.
Especially since we're going to be talking about pairings now.
Yeah.
But all right.
I will definitely watch the webcast later and hopefully tune into your guys' web series as well.
Okay. Great.
All right.
See you later, Tim.
Good to see you guys. Take care.
So should I show everybody the selfie?
It's actually pretty kind of awesome.
Okay, wait. Are you going to show on the video?
Yeah.
So how many layers of Inception selfie are we doing?
I'm surprised.
So should I take a screenshot of this now?
Dear
There you
God.
go.
And then turn that. Oh, good grief. All right. So
I also posted it, and I think I
Okay.
tagged you because it came up on your screen there.
But I think you only did it in Instagram, so I can't
Yeah.
retweet it.
No, I twittered it. It came
no,
up.
no,
in
you
his-
gotta include his name. I'm too lazy to. I can't quick quote. Nah, balls.
We'll figure it out later.
All right, so we actually totally forgot to go to the other stuff. So, some basic housekeeping. Even though we're like 2/3 past this episode, there's a new review that just came out for Office Ninja from It's Just Movies. So I want to thank Jessica Owens for the review. I will post a link somewhere. I wanted to, obviously there was a lot of things we could have talked about, like the NBA, NHL playoffs, the
No, I do not want to talk about that.
NFL
I
draft.
do not want to talk about the NHL playoffs at all.
Recently, Godzilla just came out, and X-Men: Days of Future Past.
I did see X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Did you like it?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really loved it, actually. The more time passes, the more. I mean,
I really
it's
enjoyed
kind of movie. If you're gonna
Really
be
fun.
desperate to poke holes in it, you're going to be able to because they're trying to make
Yeah,
like
well,
9 different universes.
You don't want to discuss the science.
But they did it pretty
science
seamlessly
behind
and
it.
effortlessly.
Well, their time travel movie logic works pretty well. I mean,
But if you talk about all of the other stuff and the consciousness and like the how it changes,
Anyway, we don't want to do any like spoilers are on this show, but not for X-Men.
I get. Well, the original story was out in 1980.
Well,
Wasn't
yes.
it?
Well, the
Wasn't it?
Days of Future Past, I think it was a little later than that. I thought it was late 80s, early 90s when they got the Days of Future Past. Because that was
Okay.
when I was reading the comic.
Uh-huh.
I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know. But the difference was in the comic they had Kitty Pryde go back.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed. Like, I totally understand the economics
It's
of it.
just in their universe, Kitty Pryde wasn't born for where they needed to go back to. It's just because they've gotten themselves in that realm that they can. Kitty Pryde
Yeah,
still plays a
there's
large
that
role,
too.
though. You won't be disappointed if you're a Kitty Pryde fan. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Her role is not that
It's not
big.
huge, but they gave her some stuff. It was more than I was expecting.
she was still the you
Yeah.
know the instigator, the manipulator.
Right. I mean,
she's the one that sends.
yeah, it just. I mean, I actually haven't read the original comic story yet.
Yeah.
I just bought
did,
it off of
did you?
Comixology, but I'm
like-
looking
Oh,
forward.
I have, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to reading that.
A lot of my
But I
favorite-
do know that I'm kind of bummed that like Kitty Pryde had 2 chances, like because they kind of did Days of Future Past in the like animated series, even though I barely remember that, and they used Bishop to be.
That's the
Kitty
thing.
Pryde
I
role.
remember Bishop being one of my favorite characters in the X-Men after the Days of Future Past thing. For a
Oh,
while,
okay.
So actually, it was kind of cool to see him on.
Yeah.
film. Though I should explain why I didn't want to talk NHL though. I'm a big Sharks fan, and we.
Oh, there's that. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
We've always kind of choked in the playoffs, but we historically choked this year, so I'm a little burned on that. The Kings keep winning, so.
Right. And I guess the other thing we could have talked about was, so I listened to a podcast called Script Notes that's got John August and Craig Mazin. They
Mhm.
recently had like a superhero live episode, and they had David Goyer on, and apparently he kind of pissed off like a bunch of like comic book fans because they were kind of joking that like She-Hulk,
Who's David Goyer?
Dave Goyer was one of the co-writers of the Batman Begins trilogy with Christopher Nolan,
Oh, okay.
and he is, I believe, the lead writer of Gotham.
Oh, really?
Is he?
I think he's definitely writing. I don't remember if he wrote the latest Superman reboot, but he's definitely writing Batman versus Superman.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. So I know who you're talking about. I don't think he's the lead writer for Gotham. As a matter of fact,
Okay.
I don't know. We'd have to look it up later. But
Right.
yeah, I know that.
We have like 3 smartphones here, and we're like,
Well, I've been on the
Yeah, we're
smartphone
like
enough
too
trying to
lazy.
retweet.
yeah. But yeah, so I mean, there was some brouhaha where basically what was going on was, they're talking with a bunch of other screenwriters, including like the screenwriters for like Captain America, and John August thought it'd be kind of fun to just randomly throw comic book characters at him and say, how would you write this movie? Just really off the top of your head.
Mm-hmm.
And then so Goyer got into some heat because like Martian Manhunter, like he said like he started cracking jokes about how silly that name is.
Oh,
And-
really? And he got in trouble for that?
Well, not just that, and then also they started talking about like She-Hulk, and Craig Mazin was kind of joking.
I remember the She-Hulk incident. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the
remember
She-Hulk
that.
thing probably was a bigger thing in our circle.
What did he say exactly, though?
Well, Craig Mazin was called her Slut Hulk or something like that.
That's
But
right.
the intention was to point out that it was a cynical move. He thought it was a cynical move on the parts of the comic book writers to just have a female character for
I do have to admit,
looks,
I'd rather.
for fanboy purposes versus.
Oh, I see.
I mean, he's not entirely correct there because, from my knowledge, is it Jennifer Walters or Jessica Walters?
I don't know what.
Okay,
She-Hulk is
but
not
like
one.
she's a lawyer and she's been, from what I've
Arrested
heard.
Development? Just
No,
Walter.
no,
No, the name of the.
The
Oh.
the alter ego of She-Hulk.
the thing is, I think the point that he was trying to get at that I agree with is it's a little bit of a cop-out that instead of creating our own original interesting female superheroes, which is what they should be doing, a lot of what Marvel did was they just created she versions of a lot of the superheroes
Right,
that are out there for name recognition reasons. And I think that's what he means, and I think that's a valid
Right,
point.
she should have had her own name.
But She-Hulk did
kind of Hulk.
And she did kind of come out from being more than just a Hulk with boobs and actually became an interesting character in her own right. But I don't know a lot. I never read any She-Hulk, so I don't know.
Yeah, from what I've read.
Also, I'm going to go on record as saying Martian Manhunter. That's really kind of a stupid name.
Yeah, so I think like we should cut them a little slack because they're really just tossing things out and thinking. Like,
it's meant to be really quick.
When you're writers, you're spitballing like what 90% of the stuff you write is utter crap.
If you were in a writer's room, like, and all of that stuff got.
Yeah, I mean that's why like writers are pissed off when like studios try to test their do like test screenings or their drafts get leaked out.
Yeah,
because that stuff is crap. It's yet to be fully formed to like the final version.
Yeah.
So there's that, and I know Craig Mazin from listening to the podcast. He's clearly a very intelligent dude, so like he's just cracking jokes.
Yeah.
So I just found it interesting that I was like kind of in this halfway zone of like defending people who love their comics, and also at the same time.
But the thing is, if this had been a well thought out like statement, then fine, get mad at him. But it was John August throwing "How are you going to direct this movie?" at him, and he kind of just said something off the cuff. I don't know that.
Yeah, I think one issue is like the fact that David Gore is he's kind of in charge of writing that whole world, that franchise of DC.
Oh,
so
that's why it's a big deal. That's right.
Yeah. So I can understand why that caused some brouhaha, but I think it shouldn't. I think it's overblown.
Especially since they aren't doing a very good job with women characters in the movie Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing a much better job of trying to use the female characters. I know Joss Whedon, it's very important to him to have the female superheroes in Marvel, whereas they're not doing a good job of that in the DC space. However, they are doing a pretty decent job of it in the DC TV space. Arrow has gotten Canary in there, and they've done a very good job of creating that character and having a strong super presence. Because
I mean, that would be one of my many criticisms of Days of Future Past is, and this has always been an issue with most of the Marvel movie franchises, as you alluded to, is they haven't really been able to really make compelling female characters.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't know. Days of Future Past hinges a lot on Jennifer Lawrence, and she's a great performance.
Yeah, but they're...
Kitty Pryde sends them back. The girl with the poor...
I get what you're saying.
Blink is cool, but...
Oh, Blink is cool. The way they do Blink is awesome. I mean, she's not a huge part of the movie, but a large climactic... at any rate, I'm going to start giving out spoilers if I say much more than that, so I will. I think they do their best, and I think X-Men's actually always... I mean, before they've had... Famke Janssen did a great job of portraying Jean Grey in the first movies as a very interesting character. So I think they do I think they do a better job than the DC world does. Right? We've got Wonder Woman. Like, why is that movie or TV show being made? I mean, there are female characters in the DC world that are being underrepresented that they should be taking advantage of.
Yeah.
So I think it just touched a nerve that was already there.
Right.
All right.
Anyway, I guess that's not the main topic. But I just wanted to hit on those things real quick.
I'll say one sentence about the NFL draft. I was really happy with the Niners.
Okay.
How did you feel about how your team did?
I thought they did pretty good. If Khalil Mack really is the shit, then fantastic. Although I think depth is more important.
Yeah.
Like my preferred move would have been to trade down to try to grab as many picks as possible. Just
Interesting.
Scouting and drafting is not an exact science.
Oh God, no.
Sometimes you just shotgun approach it. And it appears they're going to. Derek Carr is going to be an interesting choice.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, but I at least I see a direction of where they want to go, so that's cool.
In the meantime, we made a second season of a web series.
Oh, really? Tell me more about this web series. What is a web series? I'm just kidding.
I don't know. It's like a podcast, but it has pictures.
Yeah. So yeah, in case you didn't know, Pairings is on season 2, and as alluded to, I edited this first season, and I was very grateful for the opportunity.
Yes.
So what is Pairings? Pairings is a nerd's quest to find love through cooking.
Yeah. We had a really successful first season. We got a lot of views. We got a lot of attention in the award and festival circuit, and we're really excited. And we were able. Oh yeah.
I guess
Season 2. This is unfortunately going to be backwards, but.
Well, no.
No,
It's
not.
just our image still. If I flip this
Because-
sucker anyway.
We are sponsored. Season 2 is brought to you by The Brewery, which is in Placentia. They make some of the best beer on the planet. Like, I'm not just talking about American craft beer. Anywhere in the world, the brewery is one of the best ones out there. And we were really excited to have them say yes and sponsor us. So we're bringing season 2 to you from them. We were able to shoot in, it was really exciting. Season 2, we've taken a little bit more of an ensemble approach. It's still going to be mostly about Alan, and you find out what happens with things that happened in season 1, like there was a kind of an inappropriate bet between him and his best friend, and you find out how that kind of resolves. You find out there was a cliffhanger about the sushi restaurant chef that he goes to see a lot. You find out at the very end that she is actually not, in fact, married, and that the person that you think is her husband the entire series is her brother, and that resolves during the course of season 2. But we also see a lot more of Bobbert. We see all the rest of the characters have
And by a lot more of Bobbert, he, for the most part, keeps his clothes on.
That's not entirely true.
Right, I wasn't sure if it meant more butt cheek.
We don't see any more butt cheek because it's
No.
impossible to have seen more butt cheek without him
Yeah.
taking the underwear completely off. But we do see him plenty. Yeah, and we're gonna do our screening on Tuesday, June 3rd, as we mentioned at the top of the podcast, and the episodes will start airing later in June. So somewhere mid to late June, we'll have episode 1 out, and we'll be airing once a week, most likely on a Wednesday.
We should be making an announcement next week about exactly what day you'll be able to watch them.
We're gonna tease everybody with a nice little trailer, get them juices flowing with what's new for Pairings, and we'll definitely make an announcement as to when episodes are coming out by the Tuesday, June 3rd screening date.
So, will I be seeing episodes at the premiere?
You will be seeing episodes of the premiere, but nobody else will. They won't be online.
Oh, okay.
You'll only be seeing episodes if you're in the space.
So is everything
So
in...
go get your tickets if you're in LA right now.
Yes.
They're free tickets. You have to go to eventbrite.com to register for them, but you do have to register because space is limited, and we are actually running out of tickets. We only have like a handful left.
Okay, so you'll have to send me the link so I can put it attached to the podcast, which by the time you listen to it may be sold out. But anyway,
we're doing it at a place called The Garage, which is we have our own special private pub that has a lot of nice screens. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So is everything in the can already, or is Rob of a Paget still furiously fixing things away?
Episodes 1 through 3 are, as of today, in the can.
Okay.
I mean, I guess everything's in the can if you're talking about filming, but
There's a picture lock.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
We have
Movie
picture
director. What the hell do I know about terminology?
We have actually, you know what? I'm not completely right. We have picture, score, color, and mix, and everything locked on 1 and 2. We're not quite done with 3. We have picture and score locked on 3, so it's mostly done. But we're still working on making it look and sound pretty.
But we'll have everything done, all editing, picture, sounds, music, and everything all locked before we even start coming out.
Yeah.
Okay.
As you know, that's the way we like to do things.
Yes. So the first season had what, 6 episodes?
6 episodes. We got 6 more episodes coming out. They're a little bit longer, but not by much. I mean, first season ran somewhere between 7.5 to 8.5 minutes long. This one really is closer to each episode. And this one is closer to 10 minutes each episode, and there's one that you're going to run close to like 11.5.
Oh, okay. So Rob's got even more cutting than I had.
He does.
That's good. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I was kind of curious about, would it be about the same length and everything? So
it'll be close. Like the 2 seasons together would basically make up a feature film, a pretty long feature film. It'd be like a 2-hour film, but.
So, were you like the main writer? Who did the most of the writing?
I do most of the writing. It's important to me to credit story for both of us because we sit down together and we hash out the story together, so all the ideas are the same. I also was lucky enough this year to have a fun writers group that I joined with my brother and a few other web series creators like David Ned and Justin Waggle, and we all sat down and they gave me critiques on the script as it went through. So, we do come up with the story together, but I sit down and do the writing on the computer. She doesn't like doing that.
Writing kind of sucks sometimes.
It's
the
funny.
Actual like writing.
I'm just not good with the words. There's words involved.
It's funny, I'm not like all writers. I actually sometimes the first process of writing I just need to get it out. But I actually like the rewriting because I love the process of problem solving. So it's actually really fascinating to me when you know, okay, it's not quite working, how do I problem solve and fix these scenes so that the script works, and then sometimes that'll always lead to other problems. But you discover fun, great things as you go about until you finally have a perfect, polished script. And then, of course, you start changing it as you shoot, too, so that's always fun.
Right. So was there a specific theme that you were trying to go with in the second season? What were there any like differences in terms of tone or ideas that you wanted to bring in the second season compared to the first one?
It's kind of... Well, I was going to say it's kind of funny, but it's not funny. That's exactly what I was going to say, is that it's a bit more dramatic this season, but there's still plenty of funny moments. We've definitely moved towards being more of a dramedy.
We decided we just wanted to tell the story and worry about whether or not what the genre was later, and I would say we've definitely... We called ourselves a comedy the first season. It's hard to call us that the second season. It's definitely a dramedy. It's funny. I think our most dramatic scene will always be in the first season, the scene where they all kind of... Right.
It was around, like, I think season 4.
Episode 4,
yeah.
the first season. And ironically, I think the funniest scene of any pairings will be, I think, in episode 4 or 5 of season 2, even though most of the season 2 is actually typically a little bit more dramatic because... They're revolving around some real issues that they need to get through. And
I feel like the second season's a bit more cinematic. We've got some really great looks. We also...
we have Richard Hatch. We haven't talked about how we have...
Oh, yeah. Your big name.
Guest star, yeah.
We have our guest star, Richard Hatch, who's in the original Battlestar Galactica as well as the new Battlestar Galactica. And he guest stars on our second episode.
We got him to cook. Yes, he actually knew how to cook pretty well. He said already.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, we didn't need to teach him much.
Huh.
Yep, he's a really good guy, and
he's nice, very good.
And we've got some really interesting locations as well.
I thought I saw pictures. Like, were you guys shooting on the beach or something?
Yep, we're on the beach this year.
Holy cow!
We're on a real beach, a real live, and we were there legally.
Because one of the things that we focus on is that the sushi chef comes out from behind the counter, and we see her in her real life and what she does. And one of the things that she does is go to the beach.
Right, and also, you kind of don't want it to be always as monotonous.
No, you don't want to keep going.
Exact settings. Yeah, as you're expanding upon, the characters and their depth and everything, also probably visually you also want to expand there.
Yeah, I mean, one of the problems a lot of web series have because we have a low budget is it's hard. You can get claustrophobic because you're shooting in apartments all the time.
Right.
And we did our best in season 1 not to do that, but I think we've done a better job in season 2 of not doing that.
So shooting on the beach, how do you go through?
It was a beautiful day. I know this doesn't exactly answer your question right away, but shooting on the beach was amazing because it had to be, I think, like an 8-hour day, and
that's right.
We just went out there and used all natural light with bounce boards and everything.
That was my other follow-up question: was how annoying was it to white balance that?
Not too bad because we did specifically get something to cover the noonday sun, so we actually had
We had silks.
Yeah.
We had silks. We had bounce boards. We had, flags to flag
this is
off
very
the sun.
technical, but did you actually have to worry about reflection coming from the sun too much, like from the sand,
No. If anything, that just made it. We used that as fill.
It's a better question for our gaffer and cinematographer. Justin Aguirre actually was shooting that day. I know it was important that we had to get shade on actors a lot of the time. It's funny, it won't look like they're in the shade at all, but because it would wash them out, we needed to get them in the shade. So we had a big flag.
Right. That's just something interesting because I shot
And
Officer
sound-
Ninja mostly indoors, so the lighting was very controlled.
Sound is a challenge too. I mean, we had a great sound
yeah.
guy, Rakesh Anderson, was out there.
Well, there's
booming
waves
for us.
that are crashing.
And in the
constantly.
editing, we've had to, Rob Padgett has to go in and really make the lines work over like he's had to edit around waves. Like it's
Right,
it's
yeah,
a
there's
thing.
no way to like just block out the waves as part of the audio.
It's an interesting, challenging location, but I'm really glad we did it because it looks beautiful. We have an actor who's joining us called Eddie Kualakui. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
That's pretty good.
Luckily, I've got practice on Hawaiian names from her side of the family. And so, unlike season 1 where we have lots of women come along, we have some eye candy for the women in season 2.
Yes, we do.
So you made a cameo in the first season. Is
I
there
did.
a cameo for?
No,
Technically, there is. You're not supposed to know that because it's not the same character.
I guess technically
Oh,
there's
really?
2
On
different
the beach.
cameos, but not as the same character. I'm background.
We actually had to. Yeah, she's wearing a nice big floppy hat. So, as a nice what are those called? Egg hunt.
Easter egg?
Easter egg. As a nice Easter egg, look for Jodie in season 2. See if you can where's Waldo Jodie.
Yeah, where are you gonna find this hair?
Well, it
but
would be
to
that
actually-
same hair at that time, though.
It's pretty
It's
much
a
the same.
little shorter, but to answer your question about how we did it, we actually went out to Malibu. As long as you have a
It's
small,
actually technically not Malibu.
I'm sorry,
it's,
you're right, it's,
Ventura County.
yeah, Point
just
Dune.
Point Dune, just north of Malibu.
And-
Point Magoo.
Point Magoo, you're right. I'm sorry, Point Dune was not correct. But they're actually, because it becomes state beaches out there, it's actually the cost of filming out there are much smaller. No matter how big of a crew you are, you can pay more and have a bigger crew, and you just suddenly have to pay for lifeguards and things to be out there. And then if you have generators, they have to pay for that kind of stuff as well. But because we were under 15 people cast and crew, we had to cut some people for the day. Like we were working on minimums. We had an adapter to plug things into Jodie's car.
Yeah.
So we literally
Pretty cool,
we
though.
were turning the car on periodically to make sure that we weren't running out of battery. But we were running,
Like curling irons
and
and
things
yeah.
out of her car. We were charging batteries out of her car. It was kind of fun,
Mhm.
and we couldn't do any lights at all, so it wasn't even an option. But we didn't need them, so it was a lot of fun. It was a really, really good day. of
We
shooting.
could only be there from
They were-
sunrise to sunset.
Yeah,
so
so it had to be an 8-hour day.
Yeah, it had to be daytime.
Mhm.
And that worked. It looks beautiful, and it was just a nice day. It was a gorgeous day at the beach. So we just sat out there on the beach, and I was like, oh, I could do this every day. Come film at the beach.
That is until like it's like cloudy and
It starts to
and the
rain, yeah.
previous 3 days have all been just sunny days. It's like just ruins the shot.
That could be a problem.
Okay. Is there anything else to look forward to? Or
Lots more food. We always have food, and we always provide the recipes online so that you'll be able to make all the food that they're making on set. You'll be able to see anything from ramen to seared ahi to candied bacon is going to be a thing. That's delicious.
That's a thing?
Oh yeah, man, candied bacon is delicious.
What is
You cook bacon in an oven, which you can do anyway, but you top it with brown sugar and you just cook it till it's nice and caramelized, and then that's how they utilize bacon in desserts a lot of the time. So you can take
okay.
break it off, put it as a garnish on ice cream with some maple topping. It's delicious, and you can just eat it the way it is. But it's it's sweet bacon. So you've basically taken bacon and made it worse for you.
Yeah.
And the character Drew, who my brother plays, takes that candied bacon and dips it in maple syrup, so it's even worse for you. And we made him do that over and over again until.
Yeah. How many takes did he?
The worst part was he does this great
4 or
version
5.
where he, because he wants to do it right on camera. I wasn't expecting him to. I expected him to take one piece of bacon, dip it, and eat it. But instead he takes like a handful of bacon and chows down on the bacon, and he had to do 4 or 5 takes. We ran out of bacon. It was bad. And he loves bacon.
So it's like the scene in like Office Ninja where the Raheem character has to eat a whole donut.
Yes. It was very much like that. It was painful for Rick. I felt bad. Plus, poor Rick, we made him eat. He's lactose intolerant. We made him eat dairy on camera. He wasn't eating. He was on a diet where he wasn't eating any sugar at all, and we're making him eat brown sugar bacon. Yeah, we messed with my brother a lot, and he was directing.
And he was directing.
Yeah. It's too bad Rick is too sick to attend this episode.
Probably from eating too much bacon.
Yeah.
He's probably still. No, that's not true. He got a cold.
Yeah. But yeah, I've always been kind of curious, like, how difficult is it to act and direct at the same time?
Oh, he'll tell you that it's very, very difficult.
It's actually why we kind of wrote his character to be a bit smaller in the second season.
Yeah, we wrote his character
not that we
down.
didn't want him on camera, because we did. In
Right,
fact,
but just
he
try
gets
to
some
lessen
great
the
moments.
load.
But we learned some
Yeah.
lessons, I think. I think we learned some lessons in season 1 where, Rick's the director, so nobody wanted to give him notes on acting, but he's an actor. He wants notes too, just so that people. So we felt a little we felt a little bit more comfortable, and I think we learned some things, and I actually think it was more comfortable this time for everybody all around.
Right, and for the most part, you almost got the whole gang back together in front of the camera
Cast
and
and
behind,
crew for the
behind the
most part,
camera.
yeah.
So
Yeah, cast and crew. Like there's
And
only
post-production team, kind of. I'm sorry. But Rob
there's
Goki's
only
back
like
to
a couple
score.
of crew members that didn't come back,
And most of the only people who didn't come back were because they were busy working on other stuff. I mean, it wasn't that anybody didn't want to come back.
Right.
Because we had a lot of fun.
So I mean, is it more interesting? You kind of, because having everyone pretty much back there, you kind of get that groove back.
Oh man!
And then you can be a little bit more open to making suggestions. As you were talking about, being a little bit intimidated, giving Rick.
It was actually really
direction.
fun because our DP and our gaffer, Seth Johnson and Justin Aguirre, they had never worked together before season 1.
Oh.
And then after season 1, they actually worked together on a couple of other projects. So when they came back for season 2, it was like we all.
And
just
I've worked with
clicked.
Justin on stuff since then too, and so we all gelled immediately together. And yeah, it was what I like about filmmaking is that it's a collaborative process, and it was even more collaborative this time than it was last time. And I think our end result really reflects that because. Pairings 1, I am extremely proud of. It's a great web series, but I think that we've gotten to a point where we're as cinematic as anything you see on TV or more. I mean, it's a really beautifully shot show, and I think it's because everybody knew you could just honestly talk about things. You weren't worried about stepping on somebody's toes or being or offending anybody. We all knew exactly how to talk to each other, and it was just like a bunch of we were able to really make the project sing. I think in season 2, I'm really, really pleased with how it looks.
Cool.
Yeah. So check it out.
It's fun, and that's what filmmaking.
When it comes out.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's fun. Occasionally it's stressful to make the end of your day when you have to.
It's always stressful. It's always stressful, but are you having fun doing it, or
Exactly.
is it?
So
painful?
how many shooting days was this? Or
man,
how did you shoot it?
I mean, it was
you had to shoot them in
similar.
bits and pieces, right?
Well, most of it we shot out of location, just like we did season 1. So most of it was shot in the same 8 days. Like last time we shot in 8.5 days.
It was 8.5 shooting days total, yeah. And this time it was
it was closer to
10 shooting days.
Okay.
But that was only because of location kind of issues that we could only have a certain location on a certain day.
Yeah, so there was one location that was really just a half day, and there was another location that was just a half day, and then the beach was only 8 hours. So there were several shorter days.
We wanted to combine them, but we just couldn't put those 2 different locations on the same day, which is the only reason it made it longer.
Okay.
That and babies.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. We had several cast members were in various stages of pregnancy, or their wives were in various stages of pregnancy, and so there was a point where we had a shooting day, and they thought their baby was going to be born on the shooting day. And if you're a regular production, you can absorb that and maybe change the schedule. Well, we can't afford to, have it planned out as a shooting day and not do it. We would be broke. We don't have enough money to absorb that. Yeah. So we just moved that weekend to a different
we just said we're going to reschedule this until after the baby is born.
Exactly. And then made him leave his newborn for shooting. No, that's not true. His parents were in town. It was actually a better time all around. And then one of our actresses this season, a new actress, was pregnant, but we wrote that into the script, and it actually worked quite well.
Yeah, she actually will not be able to attend the premiere because she will either
possibly be in labor,
either in the middle of giving birth or
It's bad. Her doctors have literally told her, "We don't want to scare you, but this baby is enormous. It's the biggest thing we've ever seen in her life."
Yeah, I think the baby is actually like at 8 or 9 pounds.
Luckily, she's scheduled for C-section.
Still with a child.
So, yeah, it's Lloyd is a big boy, big boy.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll be wrapping it up.
Yeah, I think we talked a little long.
We're a little over.
Not too bad.
But did you guys have any final thoughts about season 2?
Only that you should watch it, and that you should go to pairingsaseries.com to stay up to date.
What you should do is you should go and watch season 1 right now, catch up with it, so that you're all ready to go and watch season 2. Because I have to admit, you kind of need to watch season 1 to really understand what's happening in season 2.
You do. It's still an episodic show, but it's a serialized episodic show, so you will have to watch previous episodes to kind of understand what's going on.
Right, and understand the dynamics between some of the characters
Exactly.
and, what emotional baggage has happened and stuff. And you can check out my awesome editing skills.
Exactly.
And then compare them to Rob's and realize, yeah, they were the right decision to go with Rob. And but obviously shout out to Rob because he's just freaking talented.
Rob had a lot of editing.
Aside from
That
playing,
guy, right there.
Aside from being great at playing a douche, his post-production skills are fantastic.
But he's a one-stop shop. He actually because we're low budget, it's hard to find a post-production guy who wears a lot of hats because you're not supposed to normally as a post-production guy.
But can also do them very well.
Exactly. Well. Because he's a creator of his own stuff, he has a lot of experience doing color, sound, and edit. So he does them all, and he does them very well.
Yeah.
He could do any one of those things as his own job, or he could also just act as his own job. He's a talented guy.
Oh, so one last thing is this going to be on YouTube? Because I think the first season it was on.
We were on Coldcast for the second season.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we were on Coldcast for first season.
Mm-hmm.
Coldcast is no longer in existence. They unfortunately folded their doors earlier this year.
They folded their doors. How do you do that?
They origamied their doors into cranes.
They're really powerful. They use giant.
I mean, Coldcast, the business, is still in existence as a digital production company, but they are no longer a distribution platform.
They folded, or they closed their doors. Sorry.
Yes, thank you for pointing out.
No problem.
Or if you're the She-Hulk, you could fold the doors.
Thank you.
Going back to
Well
comic books here.
We are going to go with different distribution this year, but we actually can't reveal it yet because we aren't.
Well, we're going to be on YouTube. So
we can say we're going to be on YouTube.
Yes, we will be on YouTube.
All right, but there will be also other.
We will be
avenues.
We will be
announcing it next week.
Yes.
At the
sorry,
premiere.
we can't. Yes, we will have news, but we can't tell any of it to you yet.
Okay, great.
We'll be announcing it next week.
Cool. All right. Well, I want to thank Tim Leavitt for his time earlier this half to talk about Office Ninja.
We were going to clap for him? Is that what was happening?
Sure. I don't know where that came from.
That was my fault. I'm sorry.
And I guess next 2 weeks from now, I plan on having an episode with Dorena Ariano, who was composer of Office Ninja, but also more importantly, her and her brother Pedro are ginormous football fans, and we're going to be talking about the World Cup football.
Oh, that kind of
preview.
Like football.
Real football. Real football. And
sorry.
Yeah,
it's real football. I mean, in fairness, it should be American football is what our football is.
No, it should be called American rugby.
Probably is that what
it's more like rugby than
it really
football.
has nothing to do with football anymore.
So Jodie can be reached at Curly Jodie on Twitter.
Yep.
Yep.
At Pairings Ed.
Yep. So thank you guys for having me here and talking, and
thank you for having us on the show.
And looking forward to the premiere. Of course, again, there may be tickets available.
There still are. As of right now, well, by the time you listen to this, I don't.
Yeah. Sorry, people through the time stream. I can't help you with that. So say goodnight, Ed.
Good night, Ed.
Say goodnight, Jodie.
Good night, Finn.
Okay. I'm going to try a different sign-off. So my new sign-off is, I'm going to prep this. My new sign-off is, turn down for what?